I get it. Albaka. Yo, not transfer la story.
Yeah, transfer la
story. Ha, code Njie.
Okay. What's that? Nsila ID sort of.
Sorry. I get it.
Bijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara Allah service o tariaka.
Mbare.
Mo ki janna nun kunu bara tariaka.
Jannom yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbari ya bere. Birim koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato ni fo bolong blabe.
56 branches mola sota Gambia jam.
Ha?
Gambia kono ani Gambia bantala bankol. Nko kodo kiya bere. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta même na kodi topoto nin kodi maraw. Jannom number 1 ti nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale de dadi man domorol din fana beteat. Gambia dawda yalo ma fa kendol sotale je.
Wo mo yo diat
apelenta
barka ni na lafta nyelen kendol e bina.
Yalo bu kanyi la ko la barka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Barka.
Owning your dream homes, Njie Investment is here for you. Secure our quality bungalows with 2, 3 or 4 bedrooms, or our story buildings 3 or 4 to 5 bedrooms at very affordable prices with flexible payment plans at our Nyang Seaview Estate, where you can enjoy the cool breeze with modern infrastructure such as tar roads, covered drainage system, modern electrification with street lights, gated entrance with security posts, and social amenities such as gas station, shopping mall, medical clinic, park, schools, children daycare, and a lot more. Our dedicated team of professionals will keep the estate clean at all times, provide security and patrol team within the estate premises, install latest technologies such as CCTV, Wi-Fi, home network installation, solar panel, and power backup system. Also, check out for our additional home facilities and interior design service such as premium tiling, wall plaster, home landscape, fingerprint home lock, and a lot more. Visit our office at Senegambia Kololi Highway and get a free site visit tour, or contact us on 4464838. WhatsApp us on 3259220. Or you can visit our Facebook page or Instagram on Njie Investments. Njie Investments, we are first in properties.
When we touch down, better broke down.
With Gamtel G-Fiber, now you can enjoy super fast internet in gigabytes. G-Fiber is affordable, stable, secured, and accessible to homes, businesses, and enterprises. With Gamtel G-Fiber, the future is speed. Gamtel, creating a brighter future in communication.
All right.
Honey, did you remind him that the last time he sent the money, it was not enough to buy all the provisions?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell him.
Are you guys talking about money transfer to buy provisions?
Yes.
But don't you know about Baluwo?
Baluwo? What is Baluwo?
Baluwo is a service that your son can use to send provisions directly to you guys from the shop. And you don't have to worry about the exchange rate.
Tell me how Baluwo works.
It's very simple.
Just log on to baluwo.com and shop, or download the app on your phone. You can shop on the website or using the app to buy online basic products for your family and friends. With Baluwo, you decide what your money is spent on. Your money, your choice. Buy online products for your family and friends in the Gambia, Senegal, Nigeria or Mali. Baluwo, better than sending money.
welcome to the brunch on Kerr Fatou, live from our studios here in Turntable, Bigelow if you like, or if you like Bigelow, I think would be correct. So this week we will go back to our normal ways and look at the major stories of the week. We will discuss the Gambia at 56, that is of course our Independence Day anniversary celebrations, and we will bring you what we took from the President and other people's message. We will cross over to the Penchami Hall to bring you what you or all of us are waiting to hear from the APRC. Their National Congress is at the moment about to kick off. We will discuss that, and we will also revisit the topic of restrictions introduced last week by government in the wake of the surge in COVID-19 cases. The government has said there will be a ban on festivals and political gatherings from the 8th March. We'll also discuss that. And of course, the much talk about IEC election material contract has been awarded. We will give you our perspectives on that matter. And with me in the studio to do that is on the far right, Matty, he is a lecturer at the University of the Gambia and an activist. And so is Nyang. He's not a lecturer, but he's an economist and a commentator on Gambian affairs. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you. Right, like I said, let's start from the announcement that there is going to be a restriction on political and cultural or festival gatherings from the 8th March. According to a government statement, and of course that is because of the fact that they are monitoring these certain of the gradual or steady rise in the cases of COVID-19. Now, but most people argue that why are you going to wait until March 8th when you know already that the figures are not really promising? What do you think from that?
I'm not sure exactly what is the rationale behind it, because I think a lot of people are calling for the country to be shut down immediately and not wait until the 8th of March. But of course we understand also that this is a political season, so I mean I'm thinking perhaps there has been some political consideration, especially the various political gatherings that are to happen, and I think it created also noise. But for me, I'm not sure. Is it that the government is expecting that the cases will increase more by the 8th of March? I mean, or whether it will increase.
They said they are going to go through actual scientific evidence. So,
but then how about if it turn out that the cases are not increasing, instead are they still going ahead and then closing the country? I mean, the state must not be reactionary. It must, it must be the leading institution that guide the public, and not to be controlled and and pushed by the various noises and trying to create allowances for everything to happen within this given framework. I think they have to be decisive and see what is the best interest of this country, and then do it. It doesn't.
If there's political concerns, let's see what was supposed to have happened within the days. I mean, there was going to be a UDP fundraiser, which we now understand has been has been cancelled until later. There'll be GDC Congress. They have vowed to go ahead anyway. And then there also be a sort of a launching of an NPP activity somewhere in Cantora. Yeah. And I think there was, those are, and then of course the currently ongoing APRC Congress. All those were supposed to happen within February, right down to February. So do you think that might be, why the government said, well, you know what, if you want to put it immediately now, there's going to be a backlash, people will, already against the background of the fact that they have lost the moral argument by, staging a political party launching, NPP. So could it be they have considered that perhaps the 8th of March is the most sensible thing if we are not going to have problems with other political parties?
Yeah, I think to a large extent that could have been one of the considerations. But then since GDC fall out of that, also
well,
it
of
might
course,
not be.
she said they will go ahead.
They will go ahead. But generally, I think there have been a lot of discussions around it, especially the moral, with regards to the moral question. You know, as a state, as a government, instead of you taking the lead and doing what is right, you organize your own events, and then now you want to block people. So I heard about those discussions and all that. That could have been also one of the reasons. But I just think it still boils to one big question, that our government doesn't still know how to handle this COVID issue, and they've not been very proactive in the way that they're dealing with it. It must be that for me.
Yes.
Well, I'm
Nyang,
sorry.
What was your reaction when you had that festivals? In fact, it's not quite a lockdown, so to speak. They said activities like festivals and, you know,
mass gatherings,
mass gatherings will be restricted by the 8th of March. And people said, why not now?
Well, first and foremost, I want to remind my government, your government, our government, that COVID is not going on a vacation. COVID is here to stay, and it's ravaging our society. But the saddest bit is the government of the Gambia spent considerable resources, public resources, our money, to combat COVID. And thereafter, everything we have done as a state is counterproductive to that huge, colossal investment we have made as a country. Imagine, we flew in ambulances by air. We bought significant materials and boosted our health system just to fight this. So it's just like we are dousing petrol in the fire right now as we speak. And that is irresponsible leadership. There is a moral question and there is a legal question. The moral question is, we expect the government to do the right thing. The legal question is, they have sworn on oath to protect the life, livelihoods, properties of people living in the Gambia and Gambians in particular. And the actions taken by this government, starting with the Minister of Health, who has the power to use the Public Health Act and curtail movements in this country, and the President himself, who is the citizen-in-chief, their actions have tantamount to dereliction of duty. And they have shown the Gambians that their selfish, narrowly defined political interest supersedes the public interest at large. And that's a shame. And you know what? Gambians should do something about it. And the worst thing is allowing Gambia to be the Mecca party of Senegambia.
We'll come to that.
People are traversing the border, coming here just to have fun and go back. What a shame. And what a shame to our government and public officials.
When we put that to the government at the time, what they said was that they will be on the lookout to check whether any restrictions imposed by the Gambia have not been breached. You have to recognize the fact that we are not on a lockdown. Unlike Senegal, they are on a lockdown. So we are not. So by coming here, they're not breaking any law of the Gambia.
Well, it's not about breaking laws. It's about safeguard. We know that the virus doesn't move. It's people that move. That's common sense 101. So now having an influx of people, like people are going to Magal, but this time they're coming to Mumbai. In our country.
But they are coming because you haven't got the same rules here. You haven't blocked the border.
But government can wake up immediately, instantaneously, and put rules. We don't have to wait until our house is on fire. When we see the fire coming, we need to do something to stop it.
Good. Now, if ourselves, you know, I'm talking about Gambians, are holding political rallies, are holding festivals around the regions, why are we to stop Senegalese or other people coming here to attend festivals or music jamborees?
I mean, the issue is not about even the Senegalese coming. The issue is about, like I said, is how are we addressing the issue of COVID.
That's right.
For us, I think there should be, you know, a national discussion rather than who is coming or who's benefiting.
No, he mentioned that we are allowing our place to be, you know, party.
But it's still, so it's not the one partying. It's not for the ones that are coming to party, but then also
we ourselves are partying.
The environment.
That's right. So the questions, the people are coming to party are not breaking any laws.
Of course, I agree with that.
Mr. Chan,
no law
the problem is not the Senegalese. And back to the political rallies that were happening. Let's start with the UDP Congress. I have said this and I will say it again. The oppositions are governments in waiting.
Yes.
What they do, it's something we will use and judge, and that will determine whether we will vote for them or not.
Yes.
But the responsibility is on the people who are running the affairs of the state today.
At a given time.
If the government put restrictions, do you think a UDP or an ST will be out there having an event?
Well, the GDC
So let's call a spade a spade, that our government has failed in responding adequately and responsibly on the issue of COVID, considering how much money we, the people, the tax-paying Gambians, have put in place to make sure that we fight COVID. Everything we have done from March to date is counterproductive, and we have sunk those monies down the drain.
What do you think will happen from the 8th March, practically? Because when you say large gatherings here, you take out politics, political rallies and music festivals. The Njantes will go on. The Wendes will go on. The congregational prayers will go on. Are they going, and they not specifically said which kind of gatherings, festivals and stuff like that?
I mean, this is the communication problem that we also talk about in this country, that they just give us one line and then allow us to debate and discuss the rest.
Yes,
I think the government needs to be very clear as to exactly what
at any given time
for the public. But again, I mean, I think this is more of a reactionary approach to the proper, I mean, the growing call for measures to be taken. I think they're just reacting to that. Outside that, I don't think that they have any plan or even the means to enforce anything that they're gonna that they're gonna add.
Yeah. What do you think?
The problem, like
after the 8th March, because when you say large gatherings, you need to explain. I think that what will happen to the Friday congregational prayers, what will happen to churches, what will happen to weddings and gentes. They're all large gatherings, we know.
Just like the Englishman will say, the message has been lost in translation. And it's been lost in translation for the simple fact that the communicators of the government's message are nothing but mere spin doctors who try to appease rather than communicate. Secondly, there is no clear-cut messaging in their package that's to tell us what is prohibited and what is not prohibited. So basically, this message was out as an appeasement to the overwhelming row that Gambians have been echoing, murmuring, and chattering that we are not happy in the manner in which this government is handling COVID. And that message, to me, is as good as toilet paper being flushed down the toilet, because it's inadequate in its pronouncements.
So let's move on now to the much talk about contract of the IEC before we get signals from the APRC Congress happening about to start, I guess, at the Benjamin Hall at Paradise Hotel. The much talk about IEC election material contract has been awarded, we know, the choice of the IEC, that is the ESI, the Canadian company. Last week we had two arguments. We already had the IEC. They said they believe that awarding the contract to local companies has several risks. One, the local companies may have, affiliation politically, and they might leak or make this data available to parties of their choice. That can bring a conflict. Secondly, they don't believe the local contractors or the local companies have the expertise needed to, quickly implement these projects, given the fact that there's only a few months or so for the elections. Now, we also had the Minister of Finance, Njie, talking the Select Committee, before the Select Committee, the Assembly. He said, well, his vision is that since it's taxpayers' money, Gambian companies ought to benefit from it. And also the fact, he also said this can be useful in that we can have a technology transfer. All those things are possible only when you give it to the local contractor. Now it has been given to ESI. We understand that the local contractor, as well as one other foreign one, Damalek to be exact, are not happy, and they're accusing the IEC of wasting their time if they had always known that they were going to give it to ESI. I think it must be said that the IEC had always made it clear that their choice is ESI from the very beginning.
There's two problems here. There's conflicting mixed messaging from the government. An inconsistent message says that they are not genuine with the outcome. Like you said, the Minister of Finance went to the Select Committee.
Yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly with what he said. And that is the promotion of local content.
He said that.
And we want a legislation called local content to empower Gambians so that skills transfer, technology transfer can happen. And later on, over the years, we may not have to go and get a foreign company, and that will boost our economy.
So he was right when he said...
He was right, but what they're saying, let's go back to Pristine and Simlex. If that's the case, I'm talking about government policy. You see, messaging has to be consistent with practice.
Okay.
So what they're saying, if it's true, why didn't that apply to Pristine vis-a-vis Simlex and our...
What was the problem with Pristine? I think when they came into power, the new government I'm talking about, they already met a contract or not met a contract, and they wouldn't continue with the contract because the other companies threatened to sue them, etc. Enlighten us, what had happened between them?
No, I mean, all I'm just trying to say here is, the Minister of Finance, I endorse his messaging.
Yes.
But talk is cheap. The message has to be backed by action. What he said is the right thing to do, and it's the best thing to do in the promotion of local entrepreneurial establishment in the country.
Yes.
But
what else do you find wrong now when you
no. What I'm saying here is, if that's the case, why is it that Pristine, a local company that has experience in the issuance of ID cards, done it in the past, now we had to go to Simlex, a foreign company that's not transferring technology, that's not adding any value other than sharing revenue with the government. So it's contradictory, period.
Okay. So, all right. But then the problem there was that I think cancelling Simlex contract would have, resulted in litigation, security government or combating. That's what they were running away from.
I don't know, but I'm just saying there are contradictions, and all I'm just saying is, when we say something, we have to back it, or we should not contradict ourselves. If that's the case going forward, I am happy because it means Gambian entrepreneurs will be empowered. But let's see whether that will continue. Road construction, we now have Gambian road companies. Let's see whether...
We have 20 roads coming. We don't know whether...
Well, let's see.
Let's see what will happen.
Exactly.
Do you agree with the minister there that, okay, perhaps, well, according to him, I'm sure he's talking also about on the viewpoint of the government, that they want local companies to benefit from this kind of contract, which are born and paid for by the taxpayer.
Yeah, I really agree that we need to promote local businesses. Like Nyang said, we need to have that. We need to legislate and all that. But then I am also, very cautious in terms of what we are discussing right now in terms of the election materials. I also want us to, we hear contract. What part of the electoral process are we contracting right now? What is the discussion?
Well, when you said it, I can tell you it means the production of voters' cards.
Voters' card, yeah.
If there is going to be ballot paper, it will also be ballot paper. So basically, these are the things.
Yeah. So for me, in terms of the in terms of the registration and all those things, of course, the IEC has been working with ESI, and usually what I agree with, given the level where we are right now in terms of the political polarization and all that, independent agencies must be allowed to do what they are comfortable doing with. And for me, when it comes to election, I don't look at what the ministers say or what whoever wants to do something.
I disagree.
Yeah, but the problem here is the government's regulations, Act of Parliament says that any money that is going to be contracted, public money, must go through GPP.
Yeah, I agree in terms of all the procedures that we need to follow.
Yes.
What I don't agree with is like we need to give contracts just because they're a Gambian company or anything.
No.
What I'm saying is like the cost of election is high, and if the IEC is very comfortable giving it to whoever they feel they can deliver, I am comfortable with that. For me, the point is IEC. I'm not going to say that this contractor wins or lose, but as long as IEC feels like this company will help them deliver.
Look at the two arguments there. One, they believe that this company has experience with them, and it may not have any local affiliation. Whereas the local companies may lack expertise, experience, and they may have affiliation and may leak the data to political parties that are opposed to each other, and then we can end in problem. Look at those two arguments.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why IEC's point, they're looking at the cost of elections.
Yes.
They're looking at, and when we talk about the cost of election, it's not only
just the monetary, but what is at stake.
But what is at stake?
Yeah.
I think IEC's position must be seen from that perspective. But of course, to say that, I would say, I mean, we are talking about 2021.
Yes.
I mean, these are round of elections, but right now, you cannot bring in people that do not have experience to.
I think this is where we miss the point.
Yeah. Okay.
The local company we're talking about is not doing it alone.
Yeah,
it is in partnership with an international company who has
experience,
vast experience in providing this.
Yeah.
So basically, they're backstopping and supporting an international enterprise that is as good as ESI. Here the problem is, and IEC doesn't understand where their rights stop. Election management, no one interferes, and operations in terms of what IEC does.
But election production.
No. Election management. Allow me, management.
Yeah.
The moment taxpayer funds are on the table to be expensed, whether it's from the president office or the commissioner of elections, it is to go through the scrutiny of our public procurement processes.
GPP.
So now the first issue was IEC thought that it's a hands-on institution and no one
could single source it without.
They can do anything they want without interference. And that has been made clear. Oh no, that's not the case.
Yes.
Your independence stops at the management and operations of elections.
But when it comes to spending public money,
here is the problem. The company that quote unquote is being called a Gambian company is not bidding on its own.
Yes, they made it clear.
It's a syndicate.
I mean, the initial problem was IEC didn't want companies who said they could have international partnership. They said that should not be part of the bid, and you know that's why the GPPA complained that no, if you do that, you are discriminating.
But we all know that it was for a reason, because they were trying to tailor-make a process.
So that they can give it to ESI.
No. I mean, for me, I don't. I feel IAC and GPPA should be, you know.
Well, now that's what happened. Now we got information that GPPA had actually cleared.
The process too. But what I'm trying to say, I agree that everything there must be accountability, there must be transparency. If a process is set, there must be process. There is no independent institution that is entirely independent. That needs to be factored. But when we are talking about elections, we need to also factor other issues that might, kind of create some problems that is not good for the society in terms of its peace and security and all those elements. If the IEC is thinking along that way, we need to understand that. We need to understand, beyond just it is about the business or the money that somebody is getting. That's the point that I'm trying to talk about, not to dismiss entirely the argument about the risk that is involved. But we need to critically look at these issues, because the cost of election is very high. That's what I'm trying to say. I am for processes. I am for accountability and all those things. But then also, given we are in a transition. We've seen the high level of polarization in this country. We don't know who belongs where. We see government documents leaking everywhere.
Absolutely.
There are a lot of problems in this country.
But
if somebody wants to be careful, why are we disturbing
them?
But
also, this whole fiasco has exposed the weakness and planning of IEC. If you know you have an election in 2021, by August 2020, all materials should have been in your possession or being shipped.
No, but then they have to depend on budget.
But the IEC released their timeline since when? Now I feel like I'm defending IEC.
No. It's not about timeline here. My point is,
they said also, in fact, to circumvent the GPPA thing, when they thought time was not on their side, they wanted to go for a loan. But again, the government must guarantee that loan. Government refused and said.
I mean, one thing that I'm seeing in this country is that all these institutions, since the change, all these institutions want to
exercise their independence,
so
function.
But you need to know where your rights stop.
But then you need to discuss it. Because there is nothing. Nobody knows where your rights stop.
No. You know that at the beginning it was
very clear.
It was said that
even government ministries will go to meetings and they want to fight
there were
over
institutional failures in the partner. All this, like he said. Once now, to exercise their mandates. But then, of course...
Yeah, but I think the problem is encroachment.
Encroachment.
And the reason why it's encroachment, people know where their rights are or where their right stops. But they will test the limits, and if they're not checked, they will trample on someone else's rights. Like exactly the GPPA and the IEC when it first started. Right. The IEC thought that they can do whatever they want. They can even
they
single
even said
source.
that even the president
cannot
interfere in there.
And I think that was a fallacy. And when the laws were interpreted, IEC retracted and backpedaled and said, hey, okay, now let's talk. Let's talk. The issue here is freedom is good, but we need arbiters in the system. And the arbiters is not only the courts. Sometimes it's just for the institution or institutions concerned to just look at documents and tell the other people that, look, this is my mandate by law.
Yeah.
Simple.
Well, now we had the matter is now resolved. The GPPA finally gave approval for the contract to be given to ESI. So what does that leave the local audio?
It's not resolved.
It is.
No, the huddle.
Yeah,
they have crossed the huddle.
There is in fact a process for the for the losing bidders to
exactly. They have crossed the huddle of awarding ESI the contract.
Okay.
Now the process states any aggrieved party has 10 days or whatever after the award to put in a protest, and in their protest they will state what went wrong based on the bid document.
But in most cases, do they even win a case?
Well, we don't know. They are testing the system once again.
That's the problem.
Well, for me right now, I think what we need to focus on is how do we get credible elections. And getting credible elections.
Well, you see in their what you say, critics said they were hell bent on giving this contract to ESI, and they're trying to tie this process to, like you said, credible elections.
I mean, let us be. Sometimes I feel maybe it's a common sense, but there's nothing. Sometimes we cannot just use common sense. If you've been doing business with me, and then I feel comfortable, and there's an opportunity, and there's short timeline, I feel that you can deliver and you can do it, and I feel like I'm comfortable working with you. Is that not part of the procurement process?
It's illegal.
Huh?
It's
well,
illegal.
In the past, they said they are free. They had free hand. They single source anything they want. They purportedly because they don't want interference. But now
the system has changed.
No, the system
has
changed.
Always been there, but then
no one questioned the law then.
That's what I'm saying. Like the system has changed to that extent, where institutions are also showing that they have responsibility, they have right, and then they're doing what they are supposed to do. But then at the end of the day, for me, I want our institutions to engage each other, to understand that they're doing it for the collective good. If this guy is going wrong, bring him back, show him the way, and then let them do that. But they cannot be look at this issue of contracting, giving it to whoever they wanted, how it created this.
But don't you think there's rent seeking there too? Because the way people were fighting to make sure that these separate camps get to win this contract, don't you think that their vested interest is outside of the greater goods interest?
That's where the problem is.
Well, we have to call a spade a spade.
We don't know.
It's possible. We don't know. It's possible. We don't know.
Well, we know now that the GPPA has now approved. How many P's did I say? GPPA. Have now approved the contract and it's going to ESI. So we like you said, the law allows 10 days or so for the others to make their grievances too. And I think there's even a complaints commission as well.
Well, I don't know whether they've been sitting.
There is. Whether they are sitting
under the Ministry of Finance. There's a complaint.
There are so many committees in this country.
You don't have them. Okay, continue. Let's go to the independence. 56 years ago, we had independence. We celebrated in a low-key manner on Thursday. The president was there and he gave a speech, and what I took from the speech is the president is keen on people, that's the Gambians, coming together, stay in unity, avoid partisan politics, and work for the national interest. He said the government has a mandate, and citizens of the rights of the citizens also is there, but we must all work together and ensure that all what we do is done within the confines of the law, and that he said the future is for the Gambia to remain united as one nation and put our differences aside. In his word, exactly, he said, patch up our differences and move forward as a nation. Very lofty ideas and a solid statement there.
Yeah, I totally agree, and I think the I read the speech. I did not watch it, but I read it, and I feel like it has some elements that we all agree in terms of the reconciliations, in terms of unity, in terms of having a sense of purpose and direction. All those things were.
He said the elections coming this year requires political prudence. Like the politicians must message very well.
I agree.
And they must see the national interest.
I agree.
That's quite important.
Yeah, I agree with all those issues. But then, I mean, these are just statements.
Thank you.
I mean, I want to see.
Meant it. You cannot say I did not mean what he said.
Well,
he said it.
You live by example.
You see. I mean, reading a statement and also acting. We know this problem. We all know the problem in this country. We have interpreted it. We have analyzed it. We have diagnosed it.
What somebody says is what.
Yes, I agree with that.
Person once intends to act.
I disagree.
Well,
I agree with everything he said.
Yes.
But what I don't agree with is, like I said, it was just a statement. I haven't seen the actions in the statement. I haven't seen commitment. Him saying that I will take the leadership. I will take the responsibility to bring the political class together. That's what the president needs to do. You cannot just come and have a wish list. The statement was more like, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that.
I mean, he needs to take more practical action.
Practical action, bring people together.
What more can he do? Do you want him to call?
He is the president of this country.
Mr. Chan.
He is the president of this country. He can call anyone. He can bring anybody together.
But then there are always going to be competition. Even if he sleep and dine with Dabo and
Mr. Chan.
Tomorrow they will be
Mr. Chan. He's talking about partisanship. Right now we are at a stage where this country does not need partisanship.
Thank you.
This country needs collective action. This country needs people sitting together.
That's exactly what he
Mr.
said.
Chan.
Yes, but then he has to. Who's going to organize it?
Mr. Chan.
Yes.
I am a big critic of the president, and I don't hide how I feel about such. Allow me. I endorse the speech in its entirety. And I will say that this is one of the best speeches he has given.
Fantastic.
But a speech is nothing but mere words. It needs to be backed by actions. And everything that the president is doing is not in the interest of building a cohesive society and a Gambian ideal.
What is he doing?
Why? Allow me.
What's he doing?
Allow me. It's not about others.
No.
See, you don't compare the president to governments in waiting, the other political parties.
He has the power.
He has a power and he has a mandate.
Yeah.
Yes.
In 1 month, the president has met with the Gambian Mauritanian Society, Gambian Fuller Society, Gambian Manjago Society. How do you want to build a nation when you don't look at your citizens as one entity and you look at them as fragments of entities? His actions contradict that speech and messaging he gave. But that was one of the best read speeches that the president has delivered.
So you mean he shouldn't have met people who come as a group of Manjagos or Sarahulis or Mandinkas?
Njie is a Gambian. And I want my government to look at me as a Gambian and deal with us as Gambians. When the president met the Manjago community, guess what one of the prayers from the Manjago leaders there was? We are a marginalized society. We want you to build our skill centers. How can the government build a skill center for a particular set of people? Look,
well, okay.
These politicians are opportunists, and this division is working to their favor and it's not working towards the collective good.
But some other politicians in the opposition have been known also to have gone to communities and said, vote for Mr. X because he represents you in the same ethnic group as you.
You know, I keep saying
that can happen also.
You know, I keep saying that the difference between the current batch of our political leaders and the ones that fought independence, the one that our national leaders, the people that
came about independence, they are relevant to the topic.
They understood the time for the state and also their partition set.
Exactly. That's
what I'm seeing now is like, you know, everybody is saying I'm the solution. Everybody is focused on the throne. Who is taking care of the state? Who is responsible for the state? Who wants to, you know, those are, for me when I speak, it's not only
talk about something. The way the politicians of the past used to do politics, the way they used to cajole or push each other, all were done in civic and very decent manner. I mean, they had points that they know of each other, and they don't go beyond that. I mean, but now
civility
so
was
toxic.
there.
Civility was there. Now it's so toxic. Maybe that's why the president is frustrated by what he's saying. That's why he wants
he's the number one citizen.
Change.
But do you know that the president is the architect of our political temperature right now? No.
By you are coming to by his intention and his action to move forward to be a politician.
No, Mr. Okay. You need to understand one thing.
Yeah.
Gambia moved away from Jammeh, hoping to transition, phase out, and phase in a new system. This president is nothing but a mere arbitrator, an arbiter. Well, but now the arbiter, with his whistle, has decided to get into the field. And he has polarized the Gambian political landscape. And he is costing the country. He is costing the social political fabric of this country. And he has become a detriment to our reunification as one people. And we must say this, and we must say it without fear or favor. The president is an impediment to us moving forward.
I agree. The coalition agenda that he came with said that he should have one-term transition. I agree with that. But how can one man's intention to become, president polarize everybody?
Because the man has the power. You see, he has the power. He has the power. What the president says,
people still have the rights to throw him out.
Of course, because
we are not talking about throwing him out. We are talking about what his inactions has brought into the collective good and collective discourse. If the president was apolitical, do you think he will be an issue for any political party? No.
Yeah, of course.
Do you think our transitional agenda would have been stalled, especially our draft constitution? No. Because he would have championed it. He would have pushed for it because he was apolitical. But he decided to take a political stand. A player cannot be a referee. And now he is a referee/player. That match is not fair play. Period.
But was it wrong legally for him to throw his weight in the ring?
I mean, President Barrow is a citizen of this country. Absolutely. He has the right to contest. He has the right to have everything.
There you go.
But then, I mean, sometimes, we all say that the kind of government we have is a reflection of our society. Maybe perhaps Barrow came at a time when the whole country is very polarized, and then so therefore he is benefiting from that. But then for me, the point that I'm trying to make is that right now, one of the primary focus of the post-independent leaders was to how do we ensure that the state continue? How do we ensure that the internal arrangements of the state survive?
Yes.
But right now we're like sometimes we don't even know. We don't even know. Yeah.
If you go back to the Jawara days, because that's where you can write home about. Yeah. I mean, the focus was for us to remain as one.
They were politicians.
I mean, that's where what did
the Kerr Nyamalis, the Omar
generation of politicians, that's where they failed.
They are not. We should add a word to it. Yeah. The old crop were politicians. These people are political entrepreneurs. They use politics.
That is across the board.
No, well, yes. It's across the board. The culture.
But that's where the problem is now.
Yes, that's what we are saying. The culture and crop.
Even though we used to say, lack of education. The likes of Keba Nyamali, Famara was a Ture, Sanjali Bojang, and a lot of others. We are not well educated.
But they had pride, dignity, and conscience, and courage of conviction, and love for country.
After independence, the mistake that we did, we feel like only the people that are educated and have, that should continue to lead, and then we ignore the struggles of the rest of the society. And not understanding that majority of Gambians are the rest of the society, people that have no education or have limited education. And these people, they also have choice. Yes. They have dreams, they have a future that they want to live within the country. Yeah. And so they're not being served properly by the very state that we establish. And it is only like the minute you get there, you just think about how do you make yourself wealthy and all that, and then you forget the rest of the society. You see, we should not forget the structure of the state that we inherited from independence. And I keep saying that one of the mistakes that was done initially was to continue to maintain the very structure that we inherited from the colonialists. And still today, this country is divided along rural, ethnic. It is also among rural, you know, urban.
Well, in fact, I think actually rural urban is now a little bit.
Yes, because we have expanded.
Now because that was the case, right, at the time, protectorate and colony, etc. But now it is ethnics. That's why the problem is, because
it is still visible. It is about the socio-economic.
Actually, I think I'm agreeing more with Sait that you see what kept Gambia as a wholesome entity for the colonials is the system of divide and rule. Our political class, post-independence, continued exactly where the colonials left off. Even if you look at our trading regime, grow, export, not grow and process. So we continued. And now the problem we are faced with as a nation is that we need to put the brakes. And the brakes is we need leaders that are going to build a Gambian ideal and a Gambian identity. This country lacks a national identity. And without a national identity, we will always have feuds. And the feuds will be on region and ethnicity. And this is the problem of our nation.
What do we do to ensure that our elections are not ethnic census? You know, they are really ideology. They are pushed by ideology.
I totally disagree with this fact that our elections are ethnic census.
Well,
I don't think any political party in this country would win based on any particular ethnic group. And if they take, in terms of parliamentary,
if that is the messaging they are doing, what do you think?
Of course, they can do that because they feel like that's what will get them the victory. I mean, but that is not, that is. Yeah, like I don't think that will work, especially when it comes to presidential
Well, he
election.
said, for example, President Barrow should not encourage receiving people who call themselves this ethnic group, that ethnic group. He should collect them as maybe carpenters, farmers.
Thank you.
Or perhaps...
Yes, but what you see, what he's trying to do is to have coalitions, perhaps what they call maybe ethnic coalitions.
That's ethnic census. I mean, if you go like that, you...
I mean, usually when we say ethnic census, you see the party leader, if one party leader belongs to...
Well, belongs to one party.
But then you see the people that will be voting for Barrow, they're not doing it because of their ethnicity.
Mr. Cham, I think the first thing we need to do, the first thing we need to do in this country is for the leadership, when I say leadership, the government to take the lead. The first lead is demography. We should make sure in all our documents owned by the government, generated by the government, whether it's our population, whether it's looking for anything, we don't mention ethnicity because it doesn't put food on anybody's table and it doesn't change the dynamics.
We still have that.
The issue here, allow me,
if you look at clinic
Mr. Chan, let me finish. The issue of ethnic superiority, perceived ethnic superiority and perceived ethnic dominance is because of statistics. People think they have numbers.
Yes.
But if we take these things out, trust me, we will start seeing perceived ethnic dominance and superiority going down because you don't know where you stand.
Exactly.
So that's the first step of changing the country.
I think today Gambians are more integrated than they were ever before.
Absolutely.
Because of the education system.
Ironically, they sound more divided.
Yes, but because of the economic, because the divide is not based on the fact that
it's based on economic interest.
It's like more of, you know, what the outcome would be in terms of economic interest. But I'm saying that the opportunities that we have today, the people that put this country together did not have. Today we have more educated Gambians.
But ironically, I mean, the situation was better in the past. Like when I was growing up in Kiang and in Brunch,
that's due to many factors.
I didn't know that there were even people of different surnames. I mean, we don't see each other as...
But you live in your bubble.
I didn't know that this guy is a Manjai. I don't even know.
Yeah,
you don't even know about
even to care about
you don't even know that you are different. You don't see the difference.
But what I'm saying is that the country has moved.
Yes.
Today we look, you know, in terms of the media, in terms of discussions, in terms of the way people express themselves, you know, and especially now that we're in a transition, people will talk. People will express their grievances, and all those things would be out there, and that's where the leadership of the government needs to come in. Try to see how best you can address these issues. Just yesterday, I was reading the late Prof. Nyang in his analysis of the
fantastic.
You know, the post, you know, 10 years after independence, and one of the issues that he was talking about, that for this country to move, one of the solutions for this country to move is that there needs to be that multi-ethnic coalition, that Gambians must see themselves collectively, and that is not enough. you know, not just to have that unified Gambian, but what is there to sustain that is about the socio-economic well-being of the country.
Yeah.
And this is the fact that we have ignored lightly.
Big time.
The poverty is increasing. The rural, that's why I was talking about rural-urban divide.
Marginalization.
We're talking about the few that is, you know, the few getting richer, the rest of society getting poorer. We need to, you know, balance this inequality for this country to move.
So,
you know,
56 years. What had been our greatest failure? Leadership, attitudes, and corruption, or unpatriotism? What unpatriotism? What had been our problem?
Okay. First, before I answer that, I want to tell you that our independence historical narrative need to be put back in its proper context. When we say founding fathers, we tend to talk about the PSNJ, Dawda Jawaras, Sanjalis, and others. But the architect of Gambian independence and self-determination is Edward Francis Small. Okay. And our history hasn't been kind to put him in the right perspective.
But the hospital
no, it's not the hospital being named. That's an honor.
Well, that's
I'm talking about narrative here.
Yeah. Oh,
narrative.
In history.
Our history need to say that the catalyst of Gambian independence.
So you mean they've always sidelined him, or he's not even mentioned?
No. Look, the chapter of independence starts with the Dawda Jawaras, PSNJs, IBM, Jahumpa. But the catalyst of self-determination and independence is Edward Francis Small. Yeah. And our history needs a revisit.
Tell us a little bit about his activities, just a little bit.
Okay, Edward Francis Small was a trade unionist and a clergy to be. He was to be robed. But his position, taxation without representation, the Balangar incident, literally put him at odds with the establishment of the time, i.e. the colonials. He went back, came and had two newspapers, the Senegambian and was it Outlook or whatever? I forgot the other paper. And all his works is because of the Edward Francis Smalls. We had the M.E. Jallos, people who agitated for labor rights in this country. Edward Francis Small deserves more than a chapter in our history, but not only that, he is the catalyst that sparked the flames that brought independence to this country. And our books have negated that part of it. And we need to rectify.
Shame on our historians then.
I also want to go even further. I mean, you know, you talk about the Fode Kabas,
that's right. You know, the Musa Molos.
Yes.
Yes.
Gambians have consistently, whether Gambia or Senegambia, however we characterize it, have always you know, wanted to be free.
Yes.
You know, we've always fought for our freedom. Even now, the discussions around whether we are free or not free has to do with that.
Yeah.
But for me, I think you know, I wouldn't call it failure. I still think that we're on a journey. You know, state building is not a
56 years is fairly young, huh?
Very young.
Very young.
Still, so.
But then when you have a small country like such as ours, even though it's too young, 56 is too young in the life of a country, but then looking at what we could have achieved and what we have achieved.
Exactly.
Perhaps the difference between a small country and a big country, like when you're small, anything that you do, all your challenges is become very visible. Everybody will see them.
Yes.
But if you're large, something that is happening somewhere might not be too visible.
No, but say.
What I'm trying to say is
no, this is.
I know, but like, okay, we are very young, 56. Yes, in the life of a country, even bigger countries, you know, haven't done much in terms of achievement. But then ours, because we are small, looking at the resources that have come into this country or have been created by this country, 56 years, couldn't we have been better off than now?
I agree. But Gambia had a problem called leadership deficiency.
So I mentioned, is it leadership or attitudinal change? Or
no, it's leadership.
Illiteracy or?
Leadership, because leaders inspire. And if they inspire, the herd will move. So the leader of the flock.
So, very short, in summary, what was the problem with Sadauda's, the founding regime, Sadauda's problem? Sadauda's regime
I mean, I feel like as much as leadership is an important element, but for me, I think leadership is not a position that one occupies. It's about the vision, the collective vision. It's about how we in the media, we the analysts are influencing the discussions around around the country? How are we inspiring the next generation to take charge of this country? And for me, when I go back in terms of some of the research that I do and the documents that I read, I tend to understand the vision of Sadauda, Persar, even E.F. Smalls, even the people, the initial people that resisted. They wanted freedom. They wanted to be in charge of their own country, and this must be the vision for this country. How do we ensure that the country survives? How do we ensure that we continue to be, no matter our background? Because for me, I also think that the diversity that we enjoy, whether it is the Mandinka, whether the Fula, Wolof, I mean, this is why even now when we do our independence, we still put on uniform. Independence is a national day, it's not a school day. Why can't we have a cultural, people wearing cultural attire?
Like
why can't we show who we are? Why cannot we?
You know what I find problem, people, when a leader demonstrates or expresses his culture, or traditional or ethnic, regalia, they said, well, perhaps you shouldn't do that because you represent the whole nation. In Ghana, for example, when I see an Akan becoming president, the first thing he do when he comes to the parade with his Akan dress and all these things.
But they see themselves as subsets of the national group called Ghanaians.
Okay.
Back to Dawda Jawara that you ask a question. Yes. I will use Dawda Jawara's tenure and juxtapose it with global political history / economy. 1965, Gambia became independent. 67, 68, Yom Kippur War. Around 70s, Arab-Israeli conflict. Guess what happened? An oil embargo. What happened at the oil embargo? Global economy went down. So Gambia didn't have the opportunity for donors to pump in money. Immediately after that global economy and the oil slump, we had the ERP. The coup d'etat ERP. So Jawara's tenure up until 1986 were bad times. 65 to 86 were not prosperous times, not only for Gambia but the world, Ethiopian famine and other things. Gambia started to grow 88, 89, 94, and that trajectory, hadn't it been 94 coup d'etat didn't happen, a better Gambia would have been here today than we have. Now you come to 94 to 2016. Jammeh came in at the beginning of what you call the tech bubble. Companies, countries were making serious monies. And guess what? Donor aid was so prevalent and available, cheap, easy, accessible, and free most of the time. So the two can't be compared. So when people say that Dawda Jawara wasn't ambitious, I said no. He built a country based on what was available and available to him at the time.
Yeah, that's true. But then there were criticisms who said the little that was available was also squandered in one way or the other, not by him, because everybody agreed he was a decent man, but then people who were his ministers, permanent secretaries, I mean, there have been a few cases where they were even publicly known, were corrupt.
I mean, corruption is a reality everywhere.
It's a human.
I mean, it's part of the process also of state building. Absolutely. I mean, some would be willing to give everything and others will be willing to collect. I mean, will be ready to collect from that perspective.
There were projects such as the RDP, the Freedom from Hunger campaign, donor district. There were two. There weren't. It wasn't. I mean, the country like it wasn't as you painted that everything was gloomy and doomy.
Oh no.
Or economically, there were some external aids.
No, we didn't say that.
But they failed. The RDP, for example, if that succeeded, and a lot of other projects, which acronyms you cannot remember, were all there. If they had succeeded, we would have probably been.
We are going through a socio-political experiment.
If definitely he had been very successful, then it actually turned out. Probably Jammeh would have started from some solid foundation.
Jammeh started from a solid foundation.
Absolutely.
Even Barrow started from a solid foundation because they still have
relative to 65.
I mean,
relative to 65 years.
You see, one of the things that Jawara, I think, and I keep telling my
students, I know that everybody agrees. Jawara, really, even now, people like you that among the three we have, he was the best because of the vision and the ideas he put in place. But we cannot say that everything was, only and dandy on the job.
I mean, still, that's why I said we made progress in some areas, and still we have opportunity to.
Yes.
I mean, state building. Like, what is the vision? I'm not here to say like I want to live in a. I want Gambia to be turned into Dubai. That's not my.
Well, Singapore.
Gambia is a work in progress.
Yeah.
Jawara was marching us with Singapore. I don't know where we missed our steps.
I mean, those are political rhetorics that politicians use. But for me, my vision of this country is to ensure that we move beyond the parochial interest that we continue to consider, and then see that we are a bigger entity when we all collectively work together.
See, Mr.
And for
Cham,
me, this is what Jawara was doing.
Mr. Cham, Gambians are impatient. 56 years in the life of a nation is still a toddler nation. Yes, we can use reverse engineering like Rwanda and others, provided we have good and great leadership. But as it is, the social experiment called the Gambia, for me, has done considerably well in 56 years, despite our shortcomings and hurdles.
Oh, really?
Despite, look, the birth of an improbable nation, a nation that wasn't supposed to be a nation based on economics, has been a going concern for 56 years.
Good.
So that alone is an achievement, but it's not enough. We should be ambitious.
Looking at the fact that we had come very close to very serious conflicts, but we managed to survive them. I think that's also because one of the reasons why some of our peers in the regions have been devastated by war and something is political immaturity or stuff like that. We were really spared with those kind of things.
That's why I said the difference between our current batch of political leaders and the ones before. The difference was that because the first ones were willing to sit and discuss. Let's look at and one of the things that we need to look at in this country, like especially when it comes to the political process, then those that were living in the colony had experienced partisan politics like 10 years before. Even those people in the rural communities began to enjoy that.
Absolutely.
So how do you? There is a lot of issues that we know we can fix, but then it requires our political leaders, whether in the opposition or in government, they need to have, they have to continue engaging and talking to each other through that they can bring the country together. It's not anything hard to do.
Fantastic. Now we move on to the final topic, that is the National Congress of the Alliance for Patriotic Reconstruction and Reorientation and Construction. Remind me, the APRC are having their National Congress at the Penchami at Paradise, and our man Buba Gajiko is there. Buba, good afternoon. What is the atmosphere like there? I'm not sure whether you're audible. I am okay. I'm putting on your speak. Oh, he's gone already. We lost him. We will get back him. Okay. Before we get him now, the party that was in power in one of the eras we've been discussing is the APRC. They're going to have a congress. The UDP had theirs. There was no changes, not very much changes at the top. That is, it was always going to be Dabo. The NPP hasn't got a congress, but we know it is going to be Adam Barrow, of course. The APRC, do you expect? They had what they call supreme leader, and the election is at the corner now. Yeah, this will be the last congress, I believe, before the next election. Do you expect the supreme leader to be the flag bearer, Jammeh, or you think Fabakar will be there, or he will step aside? There are even talks like, I was going to ask Buba whether there is any sort of atmosphere in the hall there that somebody new may come up and maybe the flag bearer now. What do you expect from what you hear about it?
I'm not sure. I'm just gonna wait and see what's gonna come up. But
but if you look at 4 years of APRC in opposition, I mean from 2017 and now 2016 and now, what do you think? How do you think they have evolved or failed to do or have achieved or have they taken or come to realities now that they are actually a party that who might wait for too long in the opposition, even though they do not agree that I mean their mission statement is back to State House 2021.
You know, I think APRC, just like NPP now, is a party that was formed while in government.
Okay.
You know.
Yes, that's true. Yes, that's more or less the same. Yes.
It's the same process. So now what they're doing, I think they're learning how to be in opposition, and I think they're taking that. I think for me, they're taking that very well. They've been contributing greatly in terms of the debates that we are having on all those issues.
They said they were going to be opposition with a difference. They're not going to be antagonistic to the government. They were not going to be violence, they always accuse the UDP of being in opposition, of being a violent opposition. How did they fare on that?
Well, I keep saying that APRC has been is an organized party. Like I said, they were in government, so they understand the in and out of government, and so they have that advantage. So you know,
we will go now to Buba. Buba Gajiko is there, our man. Buba, hello, can you hear me loud and clear? I'm not sure whether you are audible to us here. I will ask our assistants to come and position the but now, can you tell us can you
I think you need to call back.
We need to call you back. I mean, we will. I mean, your take.
All right.
4 years they spent in the party, in the opposition, and they, according to them, going back to State House 2021. And there is a message, actually, you know, around which this Congress actually organized 2021.
Well, political history.
Far-fetched.
Political history is always good to understand so that you can contextualize what happened. The first word of the party's name is an alliance.
Exactly.
That alliance was made up of two groupings. Revolutionaries who turned to be politicians and activists.
You call
and
it.
allow me, seriously. This alliance, if you look at the late Dr. Sajjad Tal, Tamsir Jallow, these were Kurumis. There are three groups, there are three factions that made up APRC initially.
Really?
The Kurumis, you know, these people were very influential and instrumental in the setting up of the party, Pape Yasin Seka and others. Then the second group, the soldiers. And the third group, the people who were in Libya and came back home. The Senghors, the Sow, the Baba Jobs. So these three groups form an alliance.
I see.
And Gambians still.
I mean, this meaning did not occur to many people.
No, because Gambians didn't understand the context behind the APRC. So when these three groups came in, they had a common denominator. The Kurumis were anti-establishment during Jawara days and very sympathetic to Moja.
Yes.
The people from Libya sympathetic to a change in regime in the Gambia.
Yeah,
the soldiers change in regime, so these people became their patrons and sympathizers. So these three groups together formed a party called APRC. Initially noble cause, and great people came in there. The Tamsir Jallow, who was once a speaker at the House,
the teacher,
Sajjad Tal and others. So it morphed to a point. The soldiers became the dominant group in APRC, and APRC and its ideology there and then died.
Wow.
And what we end up seeing became a political party with perceived soldiers with a difference that had no difference but perpetuation. Now, like he said, a party that came in whilst in government will always enjoy incumbency, perks, and many things. And political entrepreneurship has been in this country for a long time. Gambia and Gambians rallied behind.
When you say political entrepreneurs, you mean people whose daily living is on politics?
Well, I will say it to the point.
Yes.
I'm sorry to say, and I'll say it on camera, someone like Suku Singate is a, you know, quintessential... Man, I am naming names if you want me to sit on your platform. A quintessential political entrepreneur that makes a living out of political influence. That is political entrepreneurship.
He could
so
say
now,
also he's his right to go anywhere.
I'm not talking about the right.
Okay. The good thing for me is, as an academic, I have somewhere to code.
So now the point is, APRC then enjoyed a huge number of following. Now APRC out of government, the entrepreneurs moved to do new mergers and acquisition. The entrepreneurs that were bankrolling APRC, not financially, but with numbers, masses of people, move to new parties and do mergers and acquisitions there. And now we are seeing NPP benefiting from these political entrepreneurs. And now APRC has found itself in the doldrum. For the first 12 months of the change, APRC were inactive because they didn't get the cue from the public. Are we wanted?
No, they believe that
allow me to finish.
They believe the new government really
but allow me, the first 8 months.
Misinformation against them.
Allow me, Mr. Cham.
The party is going
allow me, Mr. Cham. The first 8 months of this establishment, APRC was playing a wait-and-see game. Let's all be honest. It took a while, those phony incidents and others, for them to publicly, pronouncedly come out and be active in the political space.
Yeah, because they said the new government was misinforming the people that we're going to ban these people, we're going to...
It's the temperature in the country.
They seize their vehicles and seize their properties.
Look, it's the temperature in the country. The moment Jammeh government fell, there was one thing called justice, and there was another thing called perceived vigilantism. Let's be honest. So when the temperature simmered, that's when APRC came out. So APRC has been active for about 3 years, 2 months, 3 years, 4 months max. And now they are in the process of reorganization. But this reorganization is finding a big challenge. What's the challenge? The political entrepreneurs have moved. So the core APRC, of course, they have moved to greener pastures.
Moved to NPP.
Greener pastures.
That's NPP.
Whatever. But the point is
only
now,
them who has green pastures.
Well, what is there right now? The hardcore believers of the party are there.
Yeah.
But is that enough to take the party to State House?
What about this? They were so obsessed with this idea of Jammeh. I mean, in the beginning, they kind of, even the leadership embraced Barrow, because they thought perhaps he could offer them a deal that will, provide a soft cushion for Jammeh. Either it's to come back as a, as a private citizen, as they would like it. But later, the rhetoric of even the Barrow government and his ministers changed. They said, Batamir, for example, said he's going to face justice when he comes. Recently, Ahmad Ba repeated those things. So if they cannot get anything from the Barrow government on the aspects of Jammeh, would they continue to support him, or will they even ever support him?
For me, politics is funny. I can see GDC aligning with APRC, but I don't think APRC. Well, I've seen the possibilities.
Really?
Yeah, shared ideas.
What we wish to, in fact, when it comes to that, what we heard of late was perhaps a possibility between them and the UDP.
No.
GDC,
What I can see. Watching the political space.
Oh, you think that's
watching
more likely?
The political space? I cannot see APRC directly aligning with
Barrow.
UDP. Let's start with UDP first. Okay. But I can see APRC aligning with GDC. Then GDC may interface with UDP. Then it becomes a tripartite, but GDC will be the go-between.
I think you make sense here, because Mr. Kande's pronouncements on Jammeh had been that, well, he could come as a citizen. I'm not opposed to him coming as a citizen. Whereas the UDP and NPP might not be very keen in any suggestion, that Jammeh could come, because...
But he's a Gambian. He can. I cannot stop him from coming home. You cannot. Sait cannot. But in as much as he can come home, the laws of the Gambia are an equal opportunity law and will deal with him if he has happened to cause a crime, period. But he's coming home. It's not under my control or yours or any other Gambian, including Barrow.
All right. So we'll try again as we go around to link up with our correspondent. We have a better line, perhaps. He made a point. He said he can see perhaps GDC APRC alliance. Is that possible?
Yeah, alliances moving forward. I think we're expecting parties to work together, at least. But who will join who? We need to see that, and I think we will start to know that after all the parties have their congresses and have their manifestos, and also perhaps knowing exactly what they want to take. But for now, I think most of these political parties are trying to build their base and trying to see how best they can win, because of course the political environment needs to be factored also. Are we going to change the electoral laws to 50+1, or are we going to still have a simple majority? Because these are also factors that can influence how coalitions or alliances are going to be built. If some parties feel like they can go on their own and then get the support of the people, I think they will go. But of course, I think we're also expecting alliances. Who's going to be who? I don't know. I think some time ago we wrote an article trying to put people together, and one of the assessment that we did was GDC and UDP, given the fact that they already built a coalition during the Nyamina West by-election. Of course, it was a party-led coalition. UDP that GDC had better chance.
They called that a solidarity.
Yeah. For me, that was a gesture. You see, overtures in politics states a lot. The candidate that was there was a GDC candidate, right?
Yeah, who died.
Pass. The best thing UDP could have done, or at the time, was to say, look, continue and we will throw our weight on you. That is, I am giving you an IOU. And one day I will come back to want to cash it. Politics is funny, but things that are not said means a lot.
Yeah. All right, now we've managed to go through to Penchami Hall, to the National Congress of the APRC, and Buba Gajiko is our man there. Buba, how is that? What is the atmosphere like there? Hello, Buba. I'm getting you. I'm not sure whether you're audible, but there seems to be a lot of noise there. Is that the arrival of one of the leaders? No surprise there then. It was Babili Mansa who was mentioned there. No, but tell me, how is the attendance? And do you have any feeling that when they go to elections, there might be new people in the executive? I can hear you. I said, do you have any feeling that there may be people who might be interested in executive positions? Hello, Buba, can you hear me?
He needs to move out.
All right, I'm saying that, do you have any feeling that some people might be there who might be interested in becoming executive members?
Actually, I had an interview with some of their members, Duduja, and then of course, another executive members of the APRC. So what they tell me is, especially the former mayor Yankuba Koli, he told me that they are going to maintain all the positions of the executive, so there will be no elections or who to change position or who to take another position. So this is what he told me right now. So he said this Congress is just formal for them because it is a law in the Gambia for every political party to do their Congress. So they are going to maintain all the positions according to the former mayor Yankuba Koli. This is what he told me. So, but actually they started yesterday, according to Duduja. He said most of their delegates arrived yesterday and they have a meeting within themselves. So today is the actual Congress, and then where they're conducting it right now at Paradise Hotel at Penchami Hall right now. So they have delegates from different parts of the country that came to attend this Congress, and they are members of executives and also other political parties that are here. And the rest of United Democratic Party, I've seen Ajam Seka and then Almame Pandintal. The Citizen Alliance, I've seen Nelefreda Gomez here, and then the National People's Party, I've seen Stevie Njie, who refused to talk to any media out here. Or I cannot say, but I've seen he rejected so many media houses, including myself. But then I was able to talk to Honorable Sevumbala from the National People's Party, and then he also attended this event. So, but they have just started. The only thing that is done here is the prayers of the Imam and also the pastor on the Christian side. So they haven't started anything. They were mentioning names. They're heroes. The people who have done well for the, of course, APRC. They have mentioned their names one by one. So that is the thing that has happened here right now.
Right. Before I leave you, you mentioned representatives from all those political parties were in attendance, and at least, except one, you were able to talk to some of them. Why did they say they were there?
Can you come again? I'm not getting you proper.
All right. Thank you very much for now, Buba. We will get back to you perhaps if time allows. Of course, our viewers can always have the opportunity to continue to watch the APRC Congress. We thought we might catch up with some speakers, but as Buba said, those proceedings have not yet commenced. Right, gentlemen, you heard there that it's coming to be the Congress picking up. He said one important thing that Yankuba Koli mentioned, that there probably might not be elections. They will maintain everybody. This is just an IEC requirement that they are fulfilling. You expect, I heard from the grapevines that there are people who are waiting on the wings, perhaps to look for a place, even flag bearers. You didn't hear that? I had names like Lantombon Tamba, how to call it, others who might be, though not confirmed, who might be interested in leading the party.
I haven't had anything, but I think also for me, usually I tend to work with the official position of the party instead of focusing on what.
Yeah. I think the elections might exactly take place tomorrow. Today maybe just speeches. Okay. Yeah. But rounding up, you said I wanted your perspective really with 4 years in the opposition, and they have an ambition to go to State House. How have APRC fared in the last 4 years? I mean, they said, their life in the opposition started with big discrimination, misinformation by the new government, people threatening that the party will be banned. They seized their properties. They're still crying for their bank accounts and vehicles that they said didn't belong to Njie, etc. Now they said their message is clear. They've managed to pull crowds, big crowds, they said. So are they now getting back their people and gaining momentum, or do you still believe that the APRC under Njie has really been reduced significantly?
Well, the party we used to know as APRC under Njie is no longer the party today. It has been decimated. A lot of its people, like I said, political entrepreneurs, they have moved on to greener pastures. The party is in a reorganizational mode, but this reorganizational mode has been somehow stalled because of resources. It has been somehow stalled because of mixed messaging. It has been somehow stalled because of a proper leadership. There is a vacuum. I mean, there's a caretaker in the person of Fabakary Tombong, but the party really needs, the word interim is weakening their strive and drive to get people. What they need is to have a proper leader.
I see.
You cannot have a leader out there.
That's why I'm surprised when he said Yankuba is suggesting there might not be changes. They'll just leave it like that. Even though I had people out there who are interested in becoming leaders in every sense and safe.
Yeah, I think parties need to, especially now in Gambia, the kind of leadership that you give to the people also will add value to the number of votes you might get. And I think every party needs to calculate well who's going to lead the party. And even within the UDP, some are saying, why are you giving us Dabo? Give us somebody younger. And I think it's the same issue that is also happening to Njie. Njie has committed so many crimes. Let somebody else, come in. But for me, in terms of my analysis of APRC, given how they've started, and even after the change, where they are now, I still think that is a party to be because they have. I don't understand how a party that was in government, survive out of government, given the fact that you were established in government, and then you lose most of your patron and clan. That's why we talk about. And then they're still active, and they're still engaged. We need to recognize that.
Absolutely.
Despite the fact that they might not have the support that they had before, and given the fact that we also understand the level of patronage within our body politics, I think APRC still maintain their base, still maintain their primary support, and this base is what exactly would give them things that they want. And sometimes it's not that all parties will just come and then get elected at one point. So they have to, for me, I think they're still learning and restructuring.
Okay, this might be legal matters here, but why do you think they could not still, get back their properties? They often said if the NPP could be able to get dozens of pickups, as they put it, within just 4 years, how is it possible that you cannot say APRC cannot own a few things in 22 years?
Look, the issue here about those properties is simple. If they can proof of purchase that APRC bought these, allow me.
Okay, those are vehicles.
But no, but allow me. You need to allow me.
Go ahead.
Look, whatever you own and is in dispute, all you need to do is bring proof of ownership. Proof of ownership is very simple. $10 million into our account. How was that 10 million generated? If I can prove it, the state has no right to hold it. That's number one. The vehicles, the properties, the acquisition of those properties. Look at the APRC headquarters then. It was someone's property. Yes. Was there a legal acquisition of that property? If the answer is yes, no one will stop them because it's a bona fide transaction. But if the transactions were below the line, trust me, no court will support them.
The headquarters and the vehicles may not be in the name of APRC, but the bank accounts are.
But how did the money get in
but
there?
Then if you're going to one thing here in this country, if you're going to check the bank account of APRC, a party's account, then you have to check how the money gets into that account like any other political party.
Yes.
You see, one thing in this country is that
you guys have failed my point. My point is, if there's a dispute, allow me. If there's a dispute about ownership, the responsibility, I am disputing that you don't own this. All you have to do is give me a counter.
Who's disputing that?
These monies were donated by their own.
Me and you.
The government is disputing it. That's why the government froze it.
The government hardly talks about it. What happened is that the APRC has been saying that these monies were donations from their members.
But proof of
I mean, they had a bank account. They had bank
you see,
statements.
there is one thing in this country, and parties
there.
don't want to talk about it. You're talking about, and here, this is the reason why we're talking about campaign financing. This is where we're talking about political financing. None of these political parties, they can see me. None of them want to, tell people where they're getting their money.
I agree with you.
And so why would APRC be the one to show people where they're getting their money?
No, you failed my point. My point is, someone is claiming.
Okay, the whole thing is, let's go back to, you are asking them to come with proof because it is suggested that these monies might have belonged to Jammeh, who had stolen money from the state, and they've been confiscated. They are all under receivership or whatever. But what we are trying to say is that if, and the sad thing is the government didn't seem to say anything exactly on this matter.
Did the APRC take the government to court?
Well, we don't know about it, but
my point is they have the right to go to court and request for what they allegedly.
I had my party challenging them to go to court.
But that's the right thing to do.
He said he has proof that they transferred money to their.
I don't know about all that. But what I'm saying, if the government is restricting my activity, I have all rights and recourse to the legal system. Why is APRC not using the legal route to fight their case, but looking for public opinion? This issue is not and will not be addressed in the public space. It will be addressed in the legal courtroom. So let them go to court. I'm sympathetic to their cause. What I'm saying, I'm sympathetic. I want their rights not to be violated. And we have the legal system to protect them. It's been 4 years. What are they waiting for? They can have ex parte. The government can do, miracles in terms of expediting the process. So it's...
But still, you see, there's this complaint of their accounts being, and still now they're raising monies. They're organizing big events. They're organizing
successful fundraising.
You see, one of the things that we need to do in this country is to, have electoral laws very clear, especially, the financing
when it comes
law.
to financing.
Because even NPP, where they're getting the monies, I'm not only focusing, we shouldn't only focus on one of these political parties, because all of them, they don't want people to know how they're spending their money or even how they're receiving their money.
But I think the problem
it's ours.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying in this country.
The issue here is, I think where the difference is, even in the West, people can publicly donate to parties. Democrats, they have fundraising, you come there, Mr. Cham come, so and so and so. But the problem here is anonymous sources.
Because they are rent-seeking. The people who donate in our political process are investors. And that's why I am telling you that our politicians, most of them are political entrepreneurs. And we need to accept that politics has become a way of life, living and livelihood and making money.
Well, that's about it this week. And it's on that note, of course, we're going to wrap up this edition of the Brunch. We wish the APRC a successful Congress. Indeed. And to you, all of us who've been watching the Brunch from wherever you are, thank you very much. We'll be back next week. Goodbye.
In communication, connectivity is everything. We ensure that the links never sleep. Quantities and qualities, all in our data service, providing efficient, reliable voice and data service. We believe if you're not up to speed, then you're going backwards. Communications have to flow as fast as the speed of light. Whatever business you're in, having someone who understands your needs is critical. That is why we just don't offer you technology, we offer you solutions. Enjoy Gamcel's internet broadband anytime, anywhere. Your national operator, Gamcel, Yaibaram.
For all your pastry, bakery and quality food, CK Restaurant is the only place to be. We do catering for birthdays, weddings and all related services. We have all kinds of local foods, American, European and even beyond. Come and have a taste of our local juice, ebe and other services. At CK Restaurant, customer satisfaction is our priority.
We live in a day and age where technology is creating a world without borders, filled with unlimited potential to improve the lives of the people around us. Innovarex Global Health ushers in a new way of leveling the playing field with increased access to quality healthcare services delivered at your doorstep. Our qualified professionals are equipped with state-of-the-art point-of-care testing technology to conduct tests such as kidney function, liver function, electrolyte tests, body composition, hemoglobin, A1C, and many more services with the highest efficiency in delivering results. The addition to our flagship Wellness on Wheels, more fondly known as WOW Delivery Service, brings the entire clinical experience full circle. IGH has remained committed to creating the future of healthcare delivery. Gone are the days of sending loved ones outside the country for basic medical services. Innovarex Global Health offers a new peace of mind and takes pride in delivering the quality of care we all deserve.